Welcome, Heartbeats. Welcome to Heartbeat Station. Tune in and turn up. This is where you'll meet holistic practitioners and discover how they assist their clients during their healing journey. So maybe this is the day that you find someone that resonates with you. And if it's not you, maybe it's someone you know. My name is Sharon, the Heart Lady, if you're visiting here for the first time. And just tuning in. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And those who have followed me know that I always have a special guest, a special guest. And so my special guest today is Cindy Terrell, and she's with Holistic Strength, Nutrition, and Life Coaching. All right. So we're going to dip into her mind and find out how we can keep ourselves healthier through nutrition and how we get the strength from nutrition. So welcome, Cindy.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for having me, Sharon. I appreciate it.
All right. So tell us, Cindy, how did you get started in this space, health and
Um,
wellness?
Health and wellness. People ask me that all the time, and it's just been I think it's like a natural progression. I've always been on my own health and wellness journey, like most of my life. Don't really know where that came from either, because I didn't grow up that way. But I was just always drawn to natural ways of healing and stuff like that. And in my 20s, somewhere, I was doing a yoga practice and got introduced to Ayurveda and always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to study that because the premise is food is medicine, medicine is food. And that just really always spoke to me. And then back in my late 40s, I became an avid CrossFitter
Mm.
and really loved what how I felt and how I looked, but I wanted to like dial it in a little bit more. So I ended up hiring a nutrition coach. And that was really what spurred me on to want to help others. It was like I had always done things for myself. And then like I said, I wanted to help others. And then after that all happened, I got a certification in nutrition coaching, then had the opportunity of studying an Ayurvedic, becoming an Ayurvedic practitioner. So I have a certification in that. And I just have been continually kind of honing in on things. So I use a combination of the Ayurvedic practices as well as traditional nutrition coaching. And yeah,
So,
that's
so thank you. For those who are visiting and not sure of what Ayurvedic is, could you tell us a little bit about what that practice is?
Oh, yeah, sure. That it comes from an ancient approach to health and wellness that comes out of India. And it's just about balance between mind, body, and spirit, soul, whatever you want to say. And it really, it's like a root cause analysis that you really can figure out where the imbalances are because really your body is talking to you. When you have symptoms, that's a sign of imbalance. So in Ayurveda, through a combination of what you're eating, as well as the herbs and spices that you use and your lifestyle practices, you can bring that balance back and not only be preventive, but also help to reverse or mitigate symptoms that you may be having.
Yes. Um, and when you say symptoms, symptoms of illness, right? Is when you're
Mhm.
referring
Yeah.
to.
Or dis-ease, because if you look at it, it's
This and ease
dis-ease.
within the body.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
was introduced to Ayurvedic medicine years ago as well, just for myself. I had a naturopath physician, and he practiced Ayurvedic medicine. And you really got to see how not just how your body responds, how your emotions respond as well. There's a direct correlation of what happens in your gut, what happens in your heart, what happens in your brain. And I just thought that that was fascinating. So it was one of the contributors for me moving into the holistic practice as well and letting
Mhm.
everyone know. And, a lot of people now, the turmeric is the big thing now is in vogue, and that was part of Ayurvedic medicine, right? And healing
Mhm.
inflammation and getting rid of mucus, which is also a main contributor to dis-ease in the body,
Mhm.
right? And
Yep.
so tell me, how in your practice, what are some of the things that you see most often? Or what are the things that most patients, I'm sorry, most clients are coming to you
Mhm,
for?
mhm. Usually, well, I like to focus on women 40 and over just because that area of life, women, they're, I mean, it's coming to the forefront more and more,
Yes,
but there's just so much misconceptions about, what is normal and what is not normal. And really in
yeah,
Ayurveda, transitioning into menopause is should
yeah,
be seamless. If you've got everything in balance, it's a non-issue. So, it's a lot of women who are just looking for relief from those types of common symptoms that we are familiar with in the West, hot flashes or weight, weight gain. You
yeah,
just what used to work in the younger days, suddenly you're no longer working when you hit that perimenopausal, menopausal stage of life. So
right.
it's that. And then if you want to dig down into the Ayurvedic aspect of it, it's a combination of and I didn't go into this, so I'm going to open up another can of worms. So there's where our bodies are made up of constitutions described as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha.
Yes.
So Vata is your air and space elements. Your Pitta is your fire and a little bit of moisture element, and then Kapha is our earth and water elements.
Mhm.
So with the way our society is geared, it's Vata, and that's the one that gets knocked out of balance the easiest because it's the light, airy, spacey stuff. So stress because
And if it's
it's
water, it's the
response.
emotions as well that are flowing within the water.
You can say that, but
Mhm.
it's the what do I want to say here? The Now I lost my train of thought. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, I lost it. Well, I am Pita Veda, in which it
Okay.
makes sense to me because I love hot, spicy food,
Hmm.
right? I'm
Which would
also
aggravate the pitta actually. But oh, I know what I was going to say. So vata in the body is
Mhm,
primarily responsible for the communication, the
mhm.
transportation within the body. So
Okay.
that is something that if you're not getting enough sleep,
Mm,
that can knock vata out of balance. So we have a society. So vata is usually the primary um, uh, element that's out of balance, which that's just part of the picture. And then sometimes in the menopausal stage, it can be pitta along with it. And that's mostly controlling the digestion and
yeah,
transformation of stuff within the body. But
yeah,
so it's a lot about getting things grounded. So because vata is very light and airy, it can be very, it's drying and very spacey. So anxiety can be part of it. So it's really finding things that are going to ground it and bring things and settle. So
So, so
sleep
since
is really important.
if we were to bring the Pita, Vata, and Kapha into, you talked about the elements, but if we were to bring that into food and nutrition, how does that
Mhm.
translate?
Mhm. It's so if you want to ground vata, you bring in opposite. So you bring in kapha. So you bring in the earth and water elements, and that can be things such as um, blah, blah, blah. That is your oh my goodness. I'm trying to think of some good examples. Cheesecake comes to mind, but I'm not going to promote eating cheesecake.
So Kapha is earth and water, right? So if you want to bring
I'm
that,
trying to think of some spices that are grounding. Spices that are grounding. Uh,
so would it be more things like
Engine.
parsley, cilantro, or although because those lettuce,
Cilantro is more like for your pitta, cooling
yeah,
pitta.
yeah.
Um, I have something. It's just on the tip of my tongue here.
Okay. Well, we can always come back to
Cloves.
it.
Cloves or something that would be grounding.
Mm,
Um, Trying to think of some of any of your fruits can be grounding. Fruits, some of your sweeter fruits are going to be grounding.
okay.
Um, Actually, here's something that's really grounding.
Hmm.
It's a little quick recipe for you. If you
Okay.
take a cup of milk and
Okay.
heat it up
Mhm.
before it's boiling, then it's called a date milkshake. and you want whole milk, um, you put a pinch of cardamom, a pinch of cinnamon, and then you take three to five medjool dates, put that in a blender. It's a little piece of heaven right there.
And if you don't have cow's milk, you can use the any alternative milk as well. Or is it
Um,
the substance, the fat that's in the cow's milk?
well, that, but also an Ayurveda milk is a very nourishing um, element for the body. It going into a whole bunch of stuff. It's just one of the very nourishing things for the body. But and
Probably
understand that
nourishing
the
and calming, right?
yes,
Yeah.
and it's very grounding, very
Yeah.
nourishing. And the fact that people will say, "Well, I have lactose intolerance," and I'm not just saying that you need to go out and try it, but um, fact that you're heating the milk helps to begin breaking down, helps to start, I don't want to say the digestion, but it does. It helps starts breaking it down. So by the time it hits the stomach, it's a little bit easier for the body to assimilate. But if you're someone who does have lactose intolerance, you can probably try some almond milk.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's going to be quite as grounding, but it's going to at
Yeah, I
least give
think
you,
that when you heat milk on a whole and adding those,
Mhm.
because cardamom and cinnamon is great, and it just reminds me of chai tea, the
Yeah,
Indian chai
yeah.
tea that
Mhm.
they add milk to it. But it is calming anyway, just for those who don't eat dairy, not because they're lactose intolerant, but that's their
Yeah.
lifestyle. They're more vegetarian or vegan, and they don't partake. So I just wanted to put that out there that there is flaxseed milk and there's oat milk and other alternatives if you wanted to add it to. Well, thank you for that recipe. That's milk heated, but not to the boiling part.
Yeah,
Dates,
just before. Yeah, just
yeah,
before.
a pinch
Mhm.
of cardamom and a pinch of cinnamon. And cinnamon is excellent for blood pressures and a whole lot of other inflammatory conditions as well. All
Yeah.
right, so that's cool. So
But don't
tell
forget the medjool dates. That's
the
like the
medjool
key.
dates. That's right. The medjool dates in particular, why is it the medjool
Yeah.
dates?
You know, I'm not sure
They
because
say
I'm not a connoisseur of dates in particular, but I just know that that's what probably because they're larger, they're plumper.
yeah, and I
And
think that they are the healthiest ones out of the other types of dates. That's what
Mhm.
I've heard. So most people
Yeah,
do, if they're on the nutrition basic, do take Medjool dates. So you
yeah,
can look for that. All right. So
yeah.
tell me a little bit if I were to refer a client to you,
Mhm.
what would they expect from your consultation?
Well, we would dig pretty deeply into what a typical day looks like for them. I mean, starting with, what time they get up, what practices they have in the morning, what kind of things they're starting their day with. I look at hydration. I look at all the things that they're eating throughout the day, when they're eating, and how often. Um, what are they doing for exercise, movement? What are they partaking in for fun? What kind of things are they doing if they've got a lot of stress in their life? Are there anything, what kind of things they have going on around that? Look at what time they go to bed. Um, are they drinking caffeine and alcohol and, all that kind of stuff? Because all these things fit together
Mhm.
in the fact that, you know, your lifestyle, if you want to improve your diet as far through
Nutrition.
nutrition,
Mhm.
you have to have the lifestyle that matches it so that you can maximize everything. So because you can have the best diet in the world, but if you're only getting a couple hours of sleep each night, you're
Mhm.
not really maximizing.
Right.
So
And
really
if you're
taking a look.
eating too late as well,
Yeah,
eating at 10 o'clock at night when your digestive system says, I'm ready to relax, you are going against your body systems, right?
correct. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we look at all that stuff and see what we can, modify and bring back into more balance with and what I would call a natural circadian rhythm, where we are, you know, kind of operating with natural daylight.
Right. So
more,
you kind of, yeah, so you're kind of waking up when daylight just be sunrise, like back in the
mm,
day. If you lived in the country or in the islands or on the continent, you kind of, your grandparents kind of woke up when the sun was
mhm.
rising and was getting ready to rest when the sun goes down. And so
Yeah.
that's really part of that circadian rhythm, working with nature, which really makes
Yes.
sense. And we,
Yeah.
especially for those that live in the city, we go almost exactly opposite than nature. We're not going barefoot and walking on the grass.
Right.
We're
Mhm.
not eating the healthiest foods. Our snacks are all packaged and filled with all kinds of toxins and food that is not great for our body. I was watching a commercial yesterday. Oh, and it was a commercial on Reese's peanut butter cup. And they were saying that there's a new product for the Reese's where they're putting fudge on the as another layer next to the peanut butter and then
Oh,
inside the chocolate, and then another layer of fudge on top of it. They doing? I said, and it looked terrible to me, but I was like, they are just filling people with junk and junk with the pizza.
yeah.
Now you gotta have cheese inside the crust. Everybody, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
This is really
Yeah.
deteriorating our health. I don't know how many people partake in that, but I'm like, I'm thinking diabetes, cholesterol, mucus, inflammation. I'm
Mhm.
thinking heart attack, maybe because, in the medical field, we think about these things, high cholesterol, triglycerides.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now you got chocolate upon peanut butter upon chocolate. I was like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Just bottom line inflammation, right? Because
Right.
and empty calories. And I
Yeah.
think that's why, people are struggling with energy. Energy is another big struggle for a lot of people, right? And
Yeah.
yes, it's related to sleep, but it's also related to what you're eating. So if you're eating a bunch of high sugar, high carbs, and I'm not against carbs. It's like, but
Yeah.
what kind of carbs are you eating? Are you
Right.
eating the highly processed carbs, which are not good for you, or are you getting something out of
Right.
that would come out of a garden, you know?
Yes.
So it's high sugar diet is going to zap you of your energy because your body, you have that quick hit, but then your body's going, oh my God, I've got nothing else to run on. There's nothing fueling my gut to get, feed the microbiome to,
Yeah.
what to facilitate the processes it's responsible for. So the
Right.
body's just always is starving for nutrients in a lot of cases. So that's one of the things I like to look at as well.
Yeah, talking about that, with the sugar, are you getting a lot more clients who've been diagnosed with diabetes or diabetes?
Um, on occasion, of course, I don't treat that, but a lot of times you can get a reversal
Yeah,
with if you just clean up the diet.
right. Because I'm
You
getting
don't
a lot of people I'm seeing where that increase in diabetes, particularly pre-diabetics, and
Mm,
that associated with anxiety. And a lot of
mm,
times I'm seeing, and because in my practice, I ask about how they eat as well, because I know that definitely affects the
mhm.
emotions, right? And so
Yep.
I'm finding a lot of people, I'm anxious and I'm diabetic. And so I like to make sure that they're having a good nutritional value. Again, with sleep as well. And people will
Yeah.
talk about work-life balance, which I don't think we're ever really going to find a balance. You either work too much or you play too much, one or the other. But it is really trying to find that happy medium. So one of the things that I realized for myself is that I'm not hydrating as much.
Mm,
And when we're sitting in front of the computer and we're doing a lot of talking, we are not drinking as much. So
mhm,
what I just started doing that this week. I started, I set my phone alarm, and
mhm.
I have it alarmed for 9, 12, 3, and 6. So that reminds me you need to drink some water. So it's a good habit for me to make sure that I'm drinking at least 8 ounces of water. I could be drinking more, but I'm at the age where I go to the bathroom a lot.
Well, once you get everything back into balance, that
Don't have to,
usually,
yeah. Your
yeah,
body
yeah,
will now start getting used to it. So it's just
yeah,
that pain. So now I'm having the strategy and when to drink the water or when to drink something. And
yeah.
and I believe that after, a month or so, I should
Mhm,
be back in balance. So, and I'm making sure that my body is more alkaline than acidic. And so that will
mhm,
help as well on what we're drinking.
mhm.
So nutrition is a real important thing. Most people, when they say that they need to see a nutritionist, they think it's because they're overweight. But really, I believe that when you go see a nutritionist, it is also teaching you, like you said, ways to eat that fit your lifestyle, because not everything is for everyone. So what would you
Right.
say for the ones that are triple busy and they can only get a chance to stop at a fast food place to get some eat? What would you tell them?
Well, that's where a little planning comes into play. I would never discourage, if somebody really enjoys all that stuff, they just need to, as long as they understand that the choices that they're making isn't going to necessarily lead them to their ultimate goal. Depends what their goals are, right? As to what you can
Yeah,
do. But I guess if that's the case, I would choose the one that had the freshest ingredients,
yeah, yeah.
which I don't eat fast food, so I'm not a good one to ask. But for some reason, Chipotle comes to mind. I think they have more fresher choices. I don't
Choices,
know.
yeah. But I think even if you go to one of the most famous food chains, that there are still ways that you can pick the healthiest
Yeah,
items rather than ones that have the more grease and the fry. So,
yeah,
I agree with that.
yeah.
Tell me, just before we wrap up, tell me one of your favorite case stories.
It was actually a friend of mine. She worked with me for a little while just to kind of dial things in for her.
Yeah,
She was actually a cancer survivor, which I knew her well after all that happened. But after working with her, she's very self-sufficient and is just doing great afterwards. And she was just looking to lose a few pounds and just clean up her diet a little bit. And she not that she lost a lot of weight when she was working with me, because I don't like to focus on that. I really like to focus on you know, getting the diet dialed in, because once you get that balanced out for your
yeah.
individual needs, everything else kind of falls into
Everything is
place.
a domino effect.
Mhm. Yep.
Exactly. So
Yep.
once you get people to recognize or to establish um, healthier eating habits, then those
Right.
things, if you need to lose weight, it will automatically happen. And actually, when you do that, it takes the stress off of you checking the scale, how much did I lose
Yes.
a pound here and there.
Yes.
And if we really change up on that, hydrate properly, and eat the
Yep.
healthier foods that give us the
Yep.
most nutrition, your
Hmm.
body will honor that by
Yep.
putting you in the best weight system, and then you're able to get the quality sleep that you
Yep.
need, and everything just follows suit. So yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep. So she's, like I said, she's very self-sufficient now, and people are always saying, "Oh, what do you do? What do you do?" And she always says, "I worked with Cindy," and go talk to her.
make you feel good. Absolutely. So, Cindy, how do we get in touch with you if we really needed any a nutritional evaluation?
Well, I have an email. Well, I'll give you my phone number. That's probably the easiest. It's 207-944-7511.
Okay.
I
All
do
right.
have I do have a website, which is holisticstrength.com, with a W. And then you can email me at cterrell@holisticstrength.com.
Okay, so I got holisticstrength.com and your telephone number 207-944-7511. And I'll make sure that I list that when I post this recording.
Yep.
Can you give us one tip?
One tip. Hmm. Oh. Well, I don't know if this is really a tip, but I think what I like to emphasize, not a think, I know, I like to emphasize the fact that the food choices that we make are a way of honoring and really taking care of this vehicle that we're allowed to have while we're here. So it's not something that should be, it should be simple and fun and something that can be sustained throughout your life.
Mhm.
So there's always that 80-20 rule. If you're doing 80% of everything correctly, you are allowed about 20% of the time where you're like, yeah, I'm going to have a little bit more fun than normal.
All right, like once a month. Treat
Whatever
yourself,
that, I
whatever
mean,
works for
sometimes
you.
it's, yeah, I was gonna say sometimes it's once a week for people. It's like, you keep things dialed in, dialed in, dialed in, and then, so you let yourself have a little treat now and again, because
Yeah.
the more you tell yourself you can't have something, the more you want
The
it.
more
So
you
it's
want it. That's right.
mhm.
Resist
So
persist.
it's yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's about making little changes over time. How about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now that's step by step. That's the goal. And that's how you stay within those parameters. If you do everything at one time, you'll get lost in the shuffle and it's easy for you to get back to those habits that didn't serve you.
Right, because you've become overwhelmed
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's the little steps over time
Yeah.
that create habits that are sustainable as well. So
Absolutely.
rather than try and change everything at once because we're just not wired for
Yeah.
that much change all at one time.
Right.
So
True, true, true. Thank you for that. So tell me, I ask all my questions, all my guests these three questions because I'm always so curious on one, how do you take care of your physical heart? And I know one thing already, you eat well.
I eat well. And I'm very much into my daily, well, yeah, it's pretty much daily exercise, but I do strength training 3 days a week and then and only 30 minutes at a time. And then I walk every day with my
Beautiful. Yes, I've just moved up to 30 minutes. I was doing 20 minutes, 4 to 5 days a week. And since I've added the strength training, because women 40 and over really need that strength training. So yeah, I've done that with light weights. I have great fun with I call them my YouTube buddies. And
There you go.
because I'm just not one to be totally transparent. I'm not one to get dressed, go to the gym, come back, shower, get dressed. That's just too much stress for me. So
Well,
I'll
hey,
in my
something different for everybody. Whatever
my
works. That's what you got.
it's my
That's the
breakfast.
important things. You
Yeah.
have to find something that
And
works
it
for you.
works. When I
Yeah.
started that, I was like, oh, I can do this daily. So yes. So and what do you do for your emotional heart?
Um, that one, I try to take things personally.
Nice. Very
I've
good.
really learned over the years that if someone, whether it's directed at me or not, I can get some negative energy and stuff, or things can be directed towards you. And it's like, I just I don't take it on,
That's right.
and that's taken me a long time to get there for sure.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm 100% immune to it, but I'm very cognizant of it. And I don't let it take away my whole day. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I live by that as well. And I just told a client that this morning. If who owns the problem? If it's not
Right.
your problem, why are you taking it on? Right?
Yeah.
So taking things so personally. And lastly, what do you do for your spiritual enlightenment?
Um, a lot of times it's just walking in nature.
Hmm.
Just being outside can be very magical, actually. And the other thing I really love doing is I get up before the sun,
I
and that's
haven't
just a
gotten there
magical
yet.
time of
Before the
day.
sun, I haven't gotten there yet. But
Yeah.
get towards it.
Well, I'm from well, I've been down south for a long time, but I'm from Maine. So Eastern, light daylight in Maine is a lot earlier than here in Georgia. But
Okay.
I've been here for over 10 years, so that's not my excuse any longer. But I get up usually on average around 5 a.m. So around here, it's easy to get up before the sun, right?
Yes.
Um, but that's just a magical time of day. I just really
Yeah.
relish that alone time.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, thank you
It's
so
just
much.
taking time for self.
Self,
Yeah.
absolutely. And people
Yep.
think that this self-care thing is a whole big routine, but just getting up 15, 20, 30 minutes earlier is self-care, taking time to reflect, what are you going to do, or just taking time to just say thank you and,
Yeah.
and do something um, for your own self, right? During those
Yes.
early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you, Cindy. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'll
Thank you,
look
Sharon.
forward to talking with you soon. So, heartbeats, if you have any questions, just let me know and I will send them back to Cynthia. Cindy with Wholistic with a W, because we're talking about the whole self, not a whole. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. But that might mean something else to some people. But
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead of putting a hole in it, it is the W with the whole self. So holisticstrength.com. And again, I'll post that information for you. So if you really want to be able to find some balance with your nutrition, then Cindy is someone that you can also go to. Thank you so much for visiting. And
Thank you.
we look forward to hearing from you sometime in the future. All right, heartbeats. Thank you for tuning in. All right, look forward to another episode. Leave your comments and your questions, and I look forward to reading them. Have a good, beautiful day.